Can you just tell me something about your background? Where were you born? Where is your family originally from in China?
Well, I was born in Taisan, west of Macau. And I went, my father took me to the United States in 1924 when I was 9. And then I was detained in immigration. You get detained before you, and I think in Seattle I was detained for about a month. And during the time when I was detained, I have nothing to do but sit on the window and see the Boeing seaplane. That time it was, they were testing the seaplane in front of the harbor, and all I do all day long sit in the window watching them. That time in China, I never saw an airplane. But then in 1929, we had a big depression. It's very hard. Very hard to get anything, work or something. Then I asked my father, let me go learn how to fly. That's in 1931. By the time I my father let me go, then in 32, I went, the Curtis Wright in Baltimore just started a new flying school. But they had 48 flying schools all over the United States. But the Baltimore was just new, very new. And when I went there, I think I was only full-time student. The rest of them come once in a while because depression. A lot of people couldn't afford.
How did you know about CNAC?
Well, no, I did not know when I wanted to learn how to fly in 1933. Is my uncle was in Shanghai, and he said that Pan America had bought over 45% of CNAC, and they may want to hire people there. But then he don't know much about it. All he just saw it in the paper. But in 1931, 32, Limber, Limber and his wife flew to China. And that was a survey for Pan America. Because Pan America wanted to fly from San Francisco, Treasure Island, to Hong Kong and Canton, Shanghai. But they would not allow them to fly to Shanghai because if they allowed Pan America to fly to Shanghai, like Air France are flying to Hanoi already, but British Overseas Airways flying to Hong Kong, they would also have to allow them, and also because of Japan, they want to fly to Shanghai. So they wouldn't allow them. So Pan American went and bought 45% of CNAC. So they would fly from Shanghai to Hong Kong, Canton.
Did you know what the situation was in China?
No, when I came, they had the only trouble that time. They had trouble with the fighting in Wuzhong, and of course, when I came in 1930, the end of 1932, beginning of 33, they said, my uncle took me to the airfield. Said they would hire me if when they start the flight to Peking. And then that was January of 33, and in March of 33, they told me they're going to start run to Peking, but I had to go work as a mechanic. So I went to work as a mechanic, but then when they start the flight to Beijing, then I was flying as a co-pilot to Beijing in March 1933.
You were on the first flight over the hump. What was that like?
No, I was not the first flight.
Okay.
I was the first flight over the western part of the hump.
Okay, so the first flight over the western part of the hump. What was going through your mind when you took this on?
No, you see, the Air Force chartered a plane to fly to Taiwan. I did not know they wanted the plane to fly over there. And then when we were detained for 2 weeks, I mean the plane was detained for 2 weeks. The passenger and of course the crew cannot. And then when they released, and then we went out to the airfield and we found one of the, you know, when we wanted to drain the gasoline, and you cannot fly with no gas. And then because 2 weeks were there during the summertime, the gasoline, the seal along the, when we put the gasoline back in the tank, one of the tanks started leaking because the seal was dry. And then I said we go back to India, change the plane, because then they told me what they want to do. And then we went to India. When we landed in India, there was one plane for the Chinese Air Force, the first Chinese Air Force from the land and lease. And they told me, you take that one. So I took that one and flew back to Taiwan. And then we went to Yining, which is the border of China and Russia. Then we pick up some and then a chemical man to mix low octane gas to high octane gas. So we took them to Yakan. From Yakan, after they mixed the gas, and day later we flew over the western part. The western Himalaya is the border of Russia, Afghanistan, India, and China. That's the area we went over. And then from there we went on to New Delhi. Then New Delhi went to Karachi. That's where they were planting all the material for China. Not all, but the shipped to New Delhi, and they be shipped to New Delhi by railroad to northwest. You know, in India, in the old days they called the Western. You know, the Peshawar is near the border of Afghanistan. That's the end of the railroad from Karachi. And we expect to fly from there over the western part of the Himalaya into Xinjiang.
You were one of a handful of Chinese pilots for CNAC. What was that like? I mean, was it much more meaningful for you being Chinese?
No, in 1936, I was checked out as a pilot. Then there were 2 men ahead of me. When I was checked out, I was not 23 years old yet. You see. So when I was checked out, few months, even the first month I was there, they sent the #1 pilot back to Shanghai to fly like a tri-motor Ford and thing. And then a month later, they sent the #2 pilot back, also back to Shanghai. Then I was the only one left in 10-2, fly 10-2 Chongqing every day. And then in 1937, when the Japanese got into near Shanghai, then we were in Nanking, and then they asked the #1 pilot to fly the tri-motor Ford to carry some kind of war material. And because he's an American citizen and he didn't, not for war purpose, he didn't want to go. And then in 2 days later, we were in Hankow. All the Americans just left. I was also American citizen, but I did not know.
So it was okay for you to stay because...
No, not because no one informed me. And then went out to the airport, stand by for air raid. And then when the air raid alarm came, I took one of the DC-2 and flew out to Chongqing. And then another pilot he got in, but he on the takeoff he hit a refueling truck, so he had to ground the plane with the gear up because the gear was damaged.